Thank you for joining Identity Unplugged podcast. My name is Axai Desai. I'm the CEO and founder of ObserveID and your host for today's podcast. My today's guest is Chandragupta Gudena. Chandra, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you for having me. And I'm really excited to talk about identity and just broadly about how things are going on in terms of the security as well as the technology arena. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we're looking forward to having these conversations and hopefully the thought leadership and learn from you, and hopefully our audience will learn something additional as well. Before we get started, Chandra, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so again, Chandragupta Gudena, but Chandra for simpler pronunciation. I'm the Chief Information Officer for PBMares. PBMares is a wealth management and CPA accounting firm. We are based in the East Coast. We are one of the top 100 firms, and it's an exciting time for us in the financial services arena, as well as with everything that's going on in technology. So my background, however, has been in management consulting. I have been in different operational roles as well. So this is kind of in that CIO strategy type of a role at PBMares now.
Nice. Excellent. So Chandra, I think we'll start with one of the today's buzzword, which has now become a reality, obviously, with the digital transformations. Everyone you talk to, digital transformation is the core of the conversations that we have with our prospect, our customers, any thought leaders in the industries. What is your opinion about digital transformations, and what do you think where the industry is headed?
That's a really good question, Akshay, and I think that's a very broad question also, right? So digital transformation has been a pretty high ranked topic for quite some time now. Pre-COVID and post-COVID and during COVID, there has been different levels of digital transformation and adoption going on across different verticals, across the horizontal, so on and so forth, in multiple domains and multiple industries as well. Oftentimes, what I have seen when organizations talk about digital transformation is they split the words digital and transformation, right? So many times you just get hung on to the digital part, which is really just one part of it. And the transformation word is usually not given much attention to. And what that leads to is not having clarity in terms of what the transformation's outcome should look like eventually, so on and so forth. One of the things is, and I think McKinsey had a study on this one, that they talked about digital transformation creates an abundance of things, like an abundance of data. So all of a sudden you never had this data and you have this big, massive pile of data now. What do you do with that? What does it do to your resources that now have to think about it from a digital literacy standpoint? So there are those kinds of things that come together for digital transformation. And I think there's a metric floating around that says something like 70 to 75% of digital transformation initiatives end up failing. But almost every organization has to go through digital transformation in order to remain sustainable and make sure you're able to go forward, so on and so forth. I think what I'm seeing more and more is the notion or the ability to start a project is very easy with digital transformation. It's very, very hard to kill a project. And I think that model needs to be flipped a little bit. As we go more and more into the future, digital transformation will still continue to be there. And the digital and the transformation part we will see will have a more accelerated movement with all the latest technologies and with AI, generative AI and robotic process automation and dashboards and all kinds of things which we talk about every day. Those will lead to accelerated decision making. But the pitfall I see is going to be wastage in terms of efforts and dollars and creation of unnecessary churn, which is where an organization should pay a lot of attention to as part of the digital transformation journey itself. Digital transformation will always give an organization competitive advantage depending on the type of transformation they're choosing. For example, I have seen firms that accelerate their idea to market from a 2-year time period to a matter of a few weeks, right? So that's a pretty significant cut down in terms of time to market for your products or services, so on and so forth. I've seen organizations where we have had clients as well as organizations where you are waiting on data and information for months and weeks. But as you go along this journey, that has been brought down to a couple of clicks and a few minutes just because of a backbone of enterprise data warehouse and things like that that we have put in place. PBMares is a great example of that, where such kind of infrastructure enhancements and transformation that is needed for decision making, for focusing on the client success, for focusing on client growth, so on and so forth.